This is the English 2.0 podcast. Communicate globally. Raise your level. Speak English naturally. Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the English 2.0 podcast. My name is Al, coming to you today from inside. It's getting a bit cold here in Yokohama, Japan, so yeah, I thought I would stay warm inside today, so hope you are staying warm wherever you are. Well, thank you for watching today. In today's main topic, I'm going to discuss a question and actually ask you all a question to kind of challenge our, kind of standard way of thinking. And the question I'm going to ask is, are dictionaries helpful or harmful? So think about that one for a little bit. Now, before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you, some of you may know that I'm really into magic. So I was practicing a magic trick, and I showed one of my buddies the other day and recorded it. And so if you want to check that out, please do so. alsensei.com/English. All right, so it's pretty cool. And after the video, I do make an offer for you to join my list and start my pronunciation course. So 2 steps. So please check out the magic trick first, and then second step, if you would like to sign up for my list and also get access to my new natural pronunciation course, I would appreciate if you do sign up, and you can do that right from that page. Again, alsensei.com/English. All right, so as usual, let's get to it. Let's get to our first question, and it comes from Twitter. All right, today's question comes from @Rudolph_A, and this is in response to a Twitter message that I had tweeted, and I basically tweeted that the phrase in English, "my hobby is quite unnatural." It's quite robotic sounding in English. We don't usually say that phrase to express your hobby. So the question from Rudolph_A is, well, how about a phrase, for example, "my name is," or "my favorite something is," "my favorite sport is"? Are those also unnatural? So very good question. And the answer to that is basically no, those are not unnatural. Those are very, very natural phrases. Those particular 2 phrases. So as we know, the phrase "my name is a very, very standard way to introduce yourself, introduce your name. So of course that is a very, very standard way, very common in spoken English. My favorite something is, my favorite sport is, my favorite movie is also extremely natural spoken English. Okay? So we use that quite often. So those particular 2 examples you used are very natural. So please continue to use them with confidence. The major point here is, in English, it's very, very hard, in my opinion, to make lots of rules for everything. So if this follows a certain pattern, this must follow the same rule. English is just too strange to make rules like this. Okay, so instead of thinking about these kind of rules, maybe instead think of general guidelines. Okay, so another example that follows "my hobby is like "my job is." Okay? My job is an engineer, for example. It's a very strange sounding sentence in English. So that's another one that follows that kind of pattern. So, you never know which one. So again, here, let's talk about those phrases, and then we'll talk about how to get over that. To express your hobby or your interests, the common way is, as I tweeted, I like to. Okay, so simply, if you're thinking my hobby is tennis, okay, then you can say I like to play tennis. Very simple. I like to play tennis in my free time. Okay. Now in the job case, if you're thinking my job is an engineer, okay, very easy way to express that in English is I am an engineer. Very simple. I am an engineer. Okay? I work for ABC company. Okay. Now that could be a completely different lesson, but those are just some quick examples of how to express your job naturally. Okay, so instead of thinking in terms of rules, again, observe native speakers, observe what people are actually saying, and your English will also sound very natural if you do that. Thanks for the question, very good. All right, in today's main topic, let's discuss the question, are language dictionaries helpful or harmful? All right, now the reason I wanted to discuss this question is because I'm a true believer in that. I believe we have to keep challenging ourselves in order to really improve. We've got to keep our minds open to new ideas, and we've got to challenge our assumptions on certain topics, certain ideas. Now, an assumption is a commonly held belief or thought, perhaps that has not been tested, or we've not discovered if it is actually true or not. And so that's what I want to do today, because I think most of us feel that language dictionaries are indeed very helpful. Okay, well, let's discuss the two sides, helpful and harmful. So before we get into that, we must remember that a language dictionary is a tool, similar to a hammer or a violin, so which can be used for good or for bad, depending on how you use it. So for example, a hammer can be used to build a house, or it can be used to smash a window. A violin can be used to play beautiful music, or it can be used to create terrible sounds. It depends on who is using it, right? And how you're using it. Okay. Now, in order to use those tools properly and for good, to be helpful, we've got to know how to use them, right? Okay, it seems logical to me. And so, a language dictionary is the same thing. So actually, this is the second time I'm recording this segment. The first time I recorded it, I realized maybe I was a bit too strong against language dictionaries. I had a discussion with someone since then, and they kind of changed my view a little bit, so I'm re-recording this segment. So let's talk about how language dictionaries are helpful. So the first thing we need to remember is that most dictionaries are written to help us understand. So I believe they're very helpful to go from the other language into our native language. Okay, so for example, if you are a native Japanese speaker and you hear an English word or phrase, when you translate that from English to Japanese, to your native language, you're going to get the meaning, you're going to understand what that is. I think in that sense, language dictionaries are very helpful. Okay, now going the other way, yeah, sometimes the translation is not going to be very good, because again, it's to help understand, not really to help communicate in natural language. Okay, so sometimes it'll be good, sometimes the translation will not be so good. Or in the sense that a native speaker would speak. Okay? For example, a quick example is in Japanese, the word mendokusai. Now, if you look that up in the dictionary, if you translate that,
most of the time you're going to see the first listing is troublesome, which of course is perfect English, no problem, but would native speakers use that in the same way? Probably not. Okay, probably would say it's a pain or it's a hassle. So in other words, in the Japanese way of speaking, it would be used as an adjective. However, native speakers would tend to express that same idea as a noun. Okay, and a dictionary cannot help you with that. Okay, so that's how a language dictionary can be very helpful. Okay, use it to understand. Now, if you need to, of course, if you need to use it to produce the second language, English in this case, yeah, of course you can use it. Don't be afraid. I'm not suggesting to not use your dictionary. Of course, if you are in a situation where you need to communicate successfully, yeah, of course, go ahead and use it. Now, here's how a dictionary is harmful, okay? So in my opinion, it becomes harmful when we depend on it, okay? So I think as, students of English and going for the next level of English, again, we're talking about English 2.0, I think we want to be able to communicate successfully. We want to speak more fluently without the help of a dictionary. Okay, that of course is, I think, the goal for most people. And so if you become too dependent on using a dictionary every time you don't know how to say something, I think that creates a very bad habit for the future. Okay, so that's how I think a dictionary can be harmful. We don't want to create this dependency. Now, how can we get over this? Okay, let's talk about an action step here. If you have time to practice this, okay, which means you're not in a critical perform situation, as I call it, okay, you don't need to, this is not a life or death matter, okay, so if you have a chance to practice with someone who's patiently listening to you, go ahead and try to explain your idea in simpler words, okay, use simpler terms, okay, or give examples. Okay. So if you can't think of a good way to express that idea in English, okay, it's best to give some examples. Okay, so what is mendokusai? For example, waking up early in the morning to take out the garbage, okay, or going to the post office to mail a letter. Okay? Everybody knows what those activities are. We can relate to that. Also, we don't want to do them necessarily, okay? So we don't need the exact term to express the idea of mendokusai. You can give examples of, some of those activities, what they are, okay? Then, when you have a chance, you can check out your dictionary or ask your teacher how to express it more smoothly or more simply. All right. So the bottom line is dictionaries, language dictionaries are, of course, are very helpful, so please continue to use them. But just remember that we don't want to depend on them for every little word that we don't know. We want to try to express ourselves with the words we already have. Okay, so give that a try. I know you can do it, and good luck.
All right, in today's pronunciation point, we're going to talk about commonly mispronounced and misunderstood sound in English, particularly by Japanese students. Okay. Now, what I'm talking about here is, for example, if you are going to take a vacation, you often need to pack this item or pack your things into this item. And what is that? It is called a suitcase. Okay, one more time. Suitcase. Now the problem is that the katakana word is suitcase, or just if you're thinking about buying a suit, it is just called suits. And so you have to be careful of that kind of TS sound carrying over from katakana. So the actual word in that case is suitcase. All right, let's do an example sentence. I have to pack my suitcase. I have to pack my suitcase. Okay, nice job. Now let's talk about, okay, so if you have a professional job, you need to wear a business suit to your job. Okay, so in that case as well, it is one suit. Okay, so remember in English, of course, for plural or two or more, we're going to add the S. So suits actually means two or more suits. One suit. Two suits. Okay. Another similar example of this is, okay, what you wear under your suit, which is a shirt. Okay, so often my students will say, "Oh, I bought a shirts." Okay, so again, that's unfortunate katakana. Okay? So even one shirt is shatsu. So again, in English, we want to say one shirt. Okay, one shirt. Two shirts. Okay, it's the same idea. If you add the S, you're saying two or more. All right, let's look at some other examples of this. Another word like this is a type of food and that you might put on bread, which is called peanut butter. Peanut butter. Okay, not peanut butter. Peanut butter. Okay, so again, we don't have the peanuts, we have peanut. Okay. Another example is sports. Okay. Now, of course, sports is a regular word if you are meaning more than one sport. So if you say, "Hey, do you like sports?" No problem with that. But if I say, "What is your favorite sport?" Okay, I just want to know one. What is your favorite sport? Okay. So those are just some examples of words with that kind of TS sound carried over from katakana. But just be careful if you're saying only one, you don't need that last S. And that is going to take some training, physical training with your mouth to get used to that sound. Okay, so please keep practicing suitcase, suit, shirt, peanut butter, sport. Okay, so there's probably many more of those examples, but those are a few to get started with. So keep practicing and good luck. All right, well, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you for sticking with us through to the end, and I do appreciate it. And also, I just have a favor to ask all of you watching. Again, I appreciate all of the downloads and support that you've given me. One little favor, if you wouldn't mind just spending 2 minutes of your day and going into iTunes and leaving your comments and a rating, and let's spread the English 2.0 message even further. So if you want to help me do that, please leave some comments and leave a rating. Again, it doesn't have to be in English, in your own language, that's fine. I appreciate whatever you have to say, good or bad. So please, whatever you have to say, I'd love to hear from you. So thank you again for watching today. Again, for free tips every day, follow me on Twitter @alsensei. And again, check out my magic trick, and that is alsensei.com/English. All right, since this is the last episode of the year, I wanted to say thank you for a great 2011. I really appreciate all of your support. We've gone over 13,000 downloads since I started this year. Also, we've reached 70 different countries, so I just want to say thank you
for a great 2011. I hope to keep producing more podcast episodes for you in 2012. Keep spreading the word of English 2.0, and I can't wait to talk to you next year. Happy New Year, everyone, and we'll see you next year.